One Piece. You know, the anime where Monkey D. Luffy and his crew, the Straw Hat Pirates, sail across the seas in search of the mythical treasure known as the One Piece. Well, in this video, I installed the One Piece mod that add new weapons, accessories, armor, and of course, devil fruits that grant special powers to those who eat them. I've gotta say, things got a bit crazy, but before I get to all of that, let's start at the beginning. So, upon entering the world, I noticed that there was something inside my inventory. It was the Devil Fruit starter bag, and after opening it, I received the Guru Guru no Mi, otherwise known as the Spin Fruit, which is considered an offensive support type fruit. As this was my very first Devil Fruit, I decided to eat it. This granted me 4 abilities to use. Ability 1, Guru Guru Top, which allows me to spin very fast, creating a small whirlwind. Ability 2, Tapu Mata Saburo, creates a much larger one that stretches from the bottom to the top of my screen, dealing more damage. Ability 3, Guru Guru Tashaho, grants a buff that increases melee, ranged, and magic attack speed. And ability 4, which is a mobility, Guru Flight, allows me to spin my body fast enough to propel myself up into the air. And I also gained 25 maximum health. That's quite a lot of abilities for a starter fruit. A blue slime came over, so it was the perfect opportunity to test my attacks. The Guru Guru Top, and I've gotta say, it was pretty strong. It dealt an average of 16 damage. Now, anytime I use an ability, it drains stamina, but also gives experience that goes towards leveling it up. The stamina bar is located on the top right of my screen, starting off with 500 maximum stamina. I didn't really know how to progress from here, but hey, if you don't know, the best way is to chop down some trees for wood, and that's exactly what I did. After collecting a good amount of wood, I began exploring the right side of the world, and immediately stumbled upon a wooden devil fruit chest. And to my knowledge of this game, mimics deal a lot of damage, so I used my second ability to keep some distance away from it, and still deal damage at the same time. My stamina leveled up to 2, increasing my max stamina to 600, and after killing the mimic, I thought I'd get an item, but instead just got some coins. Also, whenever I kill an enemy, there's a chance for them to drop stamina that I can pick up to replenish myself by 100. I kept exploring to the right and dropped into some water. As a Devil Fruit user, I lose the ability to swim. Not only that, I sink like a rock, meaning that I wouldn't be able to jump in water as well, so I really had to be careful when entering water. There's also another passive ability that I have, which is Resilience. When I am below 20% health, I gain 30% more damage, increased endurance, plus 15 defense, increased movement speed, and take no knockback. It was ridiculous how high I could jump. I was at the jungle, so I decided to explore it. I found a lot of things, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Like the aglet, cloud in a bottle, life crystals, a bunch of rubies enough for a hook, the suspicious looking eye, band of regeneration, anklet of the wind, and Hermes boots. There was also an anvil inside one of the houses, so I just used that to craft a gold pickaxe and the ruby hook. I then spent the remaining time in the jungle, finding the life crystals needed to reach max health. Returning back up onto the surface, I built a storage area to store some of my stuff away, and then made some silk to turn into the pirate armor set, granting me 3% increased Devil Fruit crit chance for the shirt, 2 for the bandana, and 1 for the pants, along with 3% movement speed. Equipping the full set gives the set bonus of 1000 max stamina, totaling 1900. There was also this cool looking bracelet that I could make using silk and sapphire, which summons the Buggy boss, so I crafted it, built an arena, and then summoned the boss. As soon as I summoned the boss, there was this epic music track that played that didn't really make the boss intimidating, but rather made the fight a lot more enjoyable. The boss's attack pattern was basically a volley of 3 projectiles with its arms and legs detached from its body, which I found to be rather ridiculous looking. These projectiles can't pass through blocks, so I made sure to block myself off from the attacks while I regenerated some stamina. After defeating Buggy Boss, I received the Buggy Boss bag, and opening it gave me the Barabara no Mi, otherwise known as the Chop Fruit, and 2 Buggy Balls. I decided to eat the Devil Fruit, but by doing so, instantly killed me, which meant that I'm basically stuck with the Spin Fruit, or so I thought. And using the Buggy Ball bounces a few times before exploding. It was still night, so I took the opportunity to summon the Eye of Cthulhu. And all's going well until I ran out of stamina. At that point, dealing damage to the boss became so inconsistent because using my abilities depleted my stamina quickly and regeneration was very slow. What made me panic even more was that night was about to be over, but I got insanely lucky because a fallen star dropped right onto the boss, killing it. I opened the treasure bag and received the wanted Eye of Cthulhu poster. Consuming this gave 100,000 bounty, increasing my bounty rank to 1, and plus 10 gold coins. I also got anti-manner kick shoes, but to use it I needed the black leg fighting style that I didn't know how to get at that time. I built some NPC houses and waited to see if there were any new NPCs that would spawn. While I waited, I drank a gravitation potion, finding Sky Islands for accessories like the lucky horseshoe and the shiny red balloon. Finally, Chopper the Doctor arrived. I looked through his store and saw that he was selling Doctor info that displays Doctor level and mastery, Rumble Ball, but this was useless since I wasn't a Zoan type fruit user, small stamina potions which I found to be a lifesaver. With these, I won't have to wait for my stamina to regen. There were also syringe needles, 3 types of solutions for the needles, and defibrillators that had 21 ranged damage. This weapon shot a small lightning bolt that is able to pass through blocks, and talking with Chopper to get the Doctor fighting style, doing so buffed the defibrillators. At the end of the projectiles, they explode, leaving a lingering electric current. Afterwards, I went into the Crimson, built an arena, and then broke 3 Crimson Hearts to summon the Brain of Cthulhu. I used the Tapu Mata Saburo to clear out most of the creepers, and then I used the defibrillators for the rest of the fight. Moments after the fight, Garp the naval hero arrived, so I teleported back home, opened the treasure bag first, and got the wanted poster for the Brain of Cthulhu, giving me 200,000 bounty, increasing my bounty rank to 2, and 20 gold coins. I then talked to Garp, and he was the person to give out quests. He gave me the quest to kill a goblin scout. I went over to the ocean, killed a goblin scout, returned to Garp to complete the quest, and received 20 gold from him. I fought the Brain of Cthulhu once more because I found out that it had a chance to drop a weapon, but while fighting the boss, Rayleigh the Dark King arrived. After defeating the Brain again, I got the weapon called Kabuto. It had 26 range damage, and attacking with this weapon consumed musket balls. This weapon also had a right-click ability that summons a flaming phoenix. There was also something called Observation Haki. When consumed, grants an unthinkable power. I of course consumed it right away. Activating the Haki enables me to sense the presence, strength, and emotions of others, so it tells me how much defense and damage enemies have, highlighting them in red, and for town NPCs, they are highlighted in green. Back up on the surface, I talked to Rayleigh, and he was selling Haki info, armament Haki, but this was a vanity item, so it was completely useless. The novice Haki fragment, which cost 1 platinum coin. It was so expensive, so I held off buying it for now. There was also the devil fruit reset, so this is going to enable me to test out new and better devil fruits, but it costs 75 gold, so I really have to make careful decisions when the time comes. And there's the fighting style reset in case I want to switch from the doctor to something else. With Crimtane bars and tissue samples, I crafted the Captain Crimson armor. The coat gave 6% increased devil fruit crit chance and 1000 stamina. The hat gave 2% crit chance and 500 stamina, and the pants gave 5% movement speed along with 1500 stamina. Equipping the full set gave increased stamina regen. It was now time to take on Skeletron, so I headed over to the dungeon, finished building the arena, but since it turned into day, I had to wait until the next night to fight the boss. While I waited, I farmed goblin scouts for their tattered cloths to make the goblin battle standard for the goblin army. As I was taking on the army, a goblin dropped the Yubashiri, which had 34 melee damage. Swinging this sword creates a wide silver slash, but if I had to be honest, it wasn't that good. After defeating the goblin army, I went back to the dungeon and waited until night. As it finally became night, I talked to the old man to summon the boss. I used the Kabuto for a while and it was good, until I found out that the defibrillators were a lot stronger, so I ended up using that for the rest of the fight. With the mobility from the spin fruit as well, made this boss fight so much easier. After defeating Skeletron, I received the Armament Haki. Not the vanity, but the real one. The wanted Skeletron poster that gave 700,000 bounty and 20 gold coins, but consuming it actually gave me 60 gold coins for some reason. And the shoe suede that had 48 melee damage generates a crimson red slash. Being able to explore the dungeon now, I searched for the Cobalt Shield and Shadow Key. And well, after opening the first gold chest, I found both these items I was looking for. I kept exploring to see what else I could find, and I stumbled upon another Devil Fruit chest, but this time it was a metal variant. Upon killing it, it dropped the Bamu Bamu no Mi, which took shape of a bomb, hence the reason why it's considered the bomb fruit. I also found a new type of ore, and I tried to mine it with my gold pickaxe, but couldn't, which probably meant that I needed the Deathbringer pickaxe. I was about to leave the dungeon, but luckily I didn't, because I found the Goblin Tinkerer. So I purchased the rocket boots, the workshop, and reforged my defibrillators to godly, which only costs 1 copper to do so. Of course I had to get the best of the best. Back home, I made the Deathbringer pickaxe and reset my Devil Fruit to consume the Bomb Fruit. But I needed a higher bounty rank to use it, so the attacks became weak, unable to be used at its full potential. I figured that in order to level up my bounty rank, I would have to defeat more bosses that I haven't defeated yet. So I summoned the King Slime, defeated it, and consumed the wanted King Slime poster. I did this multiple times, but still, my bounty rank remained the same. I combined my accessories to make lightning boots, the blue horseshoe balloon, and then went back to the dungeon to mine the new ore I found earlier. The ore was called Kairoseki ore, and although I couldn't do much with it now, it can be used later on in hard mode. I killed another metal Devil Fruit chest, and this time got the Horo Horo no Mi, which also can be called the Hollow Fruit. There were no new items left to be found in the dungeon, so I teleported back home. At this point in time, I noticed myself and the lack of using new weapons. I've mainly just been using the defibrillators, so I crafted the syringe gun with the Undertaker, some tissue samples, and bottles. This weapon required syringe needles, so I bought them from Chopper, and the attacks look like this. As you can see, it's a very basic weapon, but hold your horses, because this is not the completed form. With some bones and more bottles, I turned this weapon into the syringe Gatling gun. This weapon had 31 range damage, 16% crit chance, and insanely fast speed. The attacks look like this now. A much better improvement, I must say. Along with the weapon I just made, I also crafted 3 different types of needles. Cold that inflicts frostburn, the fever needle that inflicts on fire, and finally the heal needle, which seemed a little broken, and not broken as in oh my god this is strong, but broken as in it doesn't work. The damage got reduced to 1 and it didn't heal me. Afterwards I took on the Queen Bee, hoping that the wanted poster would increase my bounty rank, but to my surprise this boss doesn't have a wanted poster. Instead I got the Geppo that increases my attack speed for kicks, power up my flying ability, and gives an extra jump. When it said extra jump, I thought it meant 1 more extra jump, but I tried spamming it and it turned out to be infinite. I also got Gear 2, but that's only useful for when I get my hands on the rubber fruit. I then decided to fight Skeletron again because there's this one accessory that I'd like to get. Buggy the Clown arrived also, which was the first boss I defeated, so after getting the Clothier Voodoo Doll, I talked to Buggy and he sold more Buggy Balls and sake. I bought some sake which enables Zoro to spawn. Zoro arrived and so I bought the Wado Ichimonji. Swinging this katana generates an icy blue slash. I was prepared to take on the next boss, but in order to do that I purchased some ale from the Tavern Keep, made the cooking pot, made fruit juice with some apples and a bottle, and finally combined the ale with it to make the wine bottle. It said someone broke one of these bottles right after with a roar, a story in the sea would begin. So with this, I traveled all the way to the ocean, tossed it into the water, and it summoned the Lord of the Coast. It was freakishly huge, quite fast, and I think a little poo came out of me, I won't lie. I also made sure to drink a water walking potion to make sure I don't sink into the ocean while fighting the boss. After defeating the boss, I picked up some Sea King meat, which allowed Sanji the cook to spawn, and opening the treasure bag gave me the Sea Scale bow, bubbly coral that allows me to go underwater, and some scales that can be used to make the Sea Scale armor set. The Sea Scale bow had 22 range damage and shoots pretty fast, but it was nowhere as good as the Gatling syringe gun, so I ended up not using it. I made another wine bottle and summoned the Lord of the Coast once more to get enough scales for the armor set. After equipping the armor, I became immune to the on fire debuff, and the set bonus gave increased stamina regen along with plus 700 max stamina. Now getting back on task, I killed the Clothier to summon Skeletron again. After killing Skeletron, I opened the treasure bag and got some new items. The iconic Straw Hat, which gave 7 defense, and the Tekai that gives 10 defense and knockback resistance. So I replaced the Cobalt Shield with this since it was a lot better. Now I had plenty of suspicious looking eyes in my inventory, so I summoned the Eye of Cthulhu many times. On my 8th boss, I got a couple of messages saying base form max mastery and dominated form unlocked. I checked what that meant, and apparently I could now use my bomb fruit abilities, even though I was still at rank 3 for bounty. Ability 1, Bamu Mine that lays down a mine. Whenever a monster steps on it, it blows up, dealing the initial damage, and then creates a lingering explosion that also deals damage. Next up, ability 2, Bamu Cannon. This shoots giant bombs that explode. Not much else to say about that. And ability 3, Bamu Combustion, that makes me explode. Obviously not dealing any damage to myself. I opened the treasure bag that I got from the Eye of Cthulhu and received the Novice Haki Scroll. This increased my max Haki to 600. Making a rather rash decision, I chose to reset my bomb fruit as I wasn't vibing with it. I tried the hollow fruit next, and again, didn't feel like it was a good fit to me, so I reset it once again. Then that's when I ate the Gura Gura no Mi, known as the Quake fruit. Now this was a lot better. I could charge up the ability, unleash it onto the ground and even the air. The longer I charge, the bigger the area of effect is. There's also a huge blast that I could throw out that can pass through blocks, and depending if I'm on the ground or air, I can smash the ground, creating a pillar of rocks, or unleash 2 quakes to both sides of me. And finally, with the mobility, I can also charge that up to blast myself into the air. If I charge it to max power, I can literally blast myself to the very top of the world. Talking to Sanji, he sells a bunch of consumables ranging from increased damage to consumables restoring both stamina and Haki. I also bought all 3 Haki fragments that increased my Haki regeneration, and it was way faster now. I finally tested out the armament Haki, and it increased my damage by 5%, but as I master it more, the number will change. It was about time to take on the Wall of Flesh, so I began mining down to Hell. Once I reached Hell and killed a fire imp, it dropped a Devil's Soul, which can be used to craft hard mode armor and other things that I'll get to later. I mined some Hellstone using it to craft the Molten Pickaxe. I went back to Hell and then threw in the Voodoo Doll to summon the boss. I used the Giant Blast from the Quake fruit to push and get rid of all the Hungries at the front, and shot it with the Syringe Gun at the same time, so the Wall of Flesh stood no chance. After defeating the boss and entering hard mode, I opened the treasure bag and got the Devil Fruit emblem that increases Devil Fruit damage by 15%, and the wanted poster that gave 2 million bounty and 50 gold coins. With that, I became bounty rank 4. Now that I'm in hard mode, I headed over to the Crimson once again to break some Crimson altars to spawn in the hard mode ores. After mining the hard mode ores, I realized that there was no need to mine adamantite because there was nothing to be made with it. So yeah, I wasted a bit of time doing that. I decided it was now time to craft myself some hard mode armor, specifically the Captain Infernal armor. So I used heated rubber, palladium, and Devil's Souls to make it. There really wasn't anything eye-catching about this armor set, it just gave slightly better improvements to stats. I also made the Mura Kumogiri, which had 60 melee damage, and because I've eaten the Quake fruit, this weapon was buffed. The thrust attack leaves the Quake effect at the end of the attack, and the spin attack shoots out a triangular projectile. I found a gold Devil Fruit chest and it dropped the Paw Fruit. I then made a huge mistake by resetting my Devil Fruit because I thought that the Paw Fruit would be a lot better, and oh my god was I wrong. The attacks were weak and strange, especially the mobility ability. I had no idea how to control it. I killed another gold Devil Fruit chest and finally got the Gomu Gomu no Mi, the rubber fruit. I got rid of the Paw Fruit and ate the rubber fruit, and immediately I knew this was going to be my endgame Devil Fruit. Ability 1 is the pistol ability, but if charged long enough it becomes a shotgun. Ability 2 is the Gatling gun, which I personally enjoyed the most. Ability 3 shoots my arm upwards and then smashes downwards onto the ground, creating a small shockwave. And ability 4 is the rocket ability, which acts as a grappling hook, but much faster. I remembered that I had gear 2, so I used it to unlock Gear 2nd. But I couldn't use it just yet as I had to master Gear 1 first. To gain some mastery, I summoned the Queen Slime. After defeating the Queen Slime, I went up to a sky island to farm some wyverns for Souls of Flight to craft angel wings. Then, combining fallen stars and devil souls, I made fallen stamps. With 5 fallen stamps and 1 mana crystal, I made the stamina crystal that increases stamina by 1,500. But I wasn't going to settle with that. I had 2,600 stamina, which was enough, so I turned it into the stamina regeneration band, increasing stamina regeneration rates. Next up, the mechanical bosses. So I waited until night to summon the destroyer first. I chose to use the pistol and shotgun ability from the gum fruit since it was able to pierce through the boss, so I dealt quite a bit of damage. I opened the treasure bag and used the Wanted Destroyer poster that granted me 9 million bounty, ranking up my bounty to 5 and 90 gold coins. The next mechanical boss that I summoned were the twins, and the best ability to use against this boss was the Gatling gun. After defeating the twins and opening the treasure bag, I got the rank Yaku that shoots a blade of wind whenever I jumped. I used both wanted posters from the twins to gain 9 million bounty and 90 gold coins. Unexpectedly, there was a solar eclipse, and it was the perfect opportunity to max out my gum fruit mastery. Once I mastered Gear 1, I am now able to enter Gear 2, which changed my set of abilities entirely. The pistol ability is now automatic and doesn't need charging up. The Gatling gun is so strong that upon impact creates a shockwave that hits anything behind. The third ability now stretches my neck side to side that also creates shockwaves, and the mobility became a lot quicker. If I paired my attacks while having my armament Haki enabled, they become black, dealing more damage, with the pistol ability now able to perform a fire attack. It finally became night once again, so I summoned Skeletron Prime, and with the power of Gear 2, this boss fight took a lot less time to defeat. From the treasure bag I received Armament Haki V2. However, to actually use this, I needed to master the regular Armament Haki. To master it, all I need to do is just activate it and attack monsters. I also used the wanted Skeletron Prime poster to get another 9 million bounty, bringing me to rank 6 and 90 gold coins. With hollowed bars and souls from the mech bosses, I crafted myself the pickaxe axe, bought the Adept Haki fragment for more Haki regeneration, large stamina potions, and then made myself the Haki shield with the obsidian shield, Kairoseki bars, and Haki essence that I got from monsters in the Crimson. This shield gives 4 defense and allows me to dash, recovering 200 Haki by hitting an enemy with that dash. So it's the perfect replacement for the Shield of Cthulhu, but the dash is more of a blink. As long as I can keep recovering Haki, I can permanently keep on the Armament Haki. I then went into the jungle to mine chlorophyte ore and to find the plantera bulb. Once I found the plantera bulb, I used some dynamite to blow up an area for the arena. After the completion of the arena, I wasn't going to summon plantera just yet. Instead, I decided to make the Captain Chlorophyte hat. This hat doesn't have any other armor pieces, so I'd have to wear this alone, which meant that I would lose the set bonus that I have on right now. But even after losing that, this hat alone is far better just by itself. I collected enough materials, crafted it, and then equipped it, boosting my max stamina to 8,500. I was now ready to take on Plantera, so I went back into the jungle and broke the bulb to summon the boss. After defeating Plantera, I saw that my Armament Haki's mastery was at 100%, so I unlocked version 2. By holding down the activation key for Armament Haki, I can now get into version 2, turning my arms into a black and blue color. This version increases the range and knockback of my attacks, damage by 10%, and critical hits do 20% more damage. From the treasure bag I got the wanted Plantera poster that gave 70 million bounty, ranking me up to 7 and 100 gold coins. Before I progress any further, I decided to make a completely new armor set called the Captain Spectral Armor. This required a lot of chlorophyte bars to be turned into Spectre bars, so I mined a bunch of chlorophyte and farmed ectoplasm in the dungeon to make the armor. The coat gave 25 defense, 8% increased devil fruit damage, and crit chance, as well as 8,000 max stamina. The hat gave 12 defense, 16% damage and crit chance with increased pickup range for stamina pieces, and the pants gave 18 defense, 6% damage and movement speed. The set bonus allows my attacks to have a chance to spawn a Devil Spectre that homes onto enemies and increased stamina regen. I'm pretty beefed up now, so I went into the temple to summon Golem. As I was fighting the boss, I maxed out my Gear 2 Mastery, therefore enabling me to enter Gear 3. My attacks changed completely as my fists grew extremely large. I defeated Golem twice, got the overflowing Haki scroll that increases max Haki, but I needed to use the Adept Haki scroll first, which is dropped from Skeletron Prime. And I also got the Armament Haki V3, so after using the wanted Golem poster that gave me 200 million bounty for rank 8 and 200 gold coins, I defeated Skeletron Prime and got the Adept Haki scroll. But then when I tried to use that, it said I needed the student Haki scroll, so I had to get that from the Wall of Flesh. A lot of going backwards because I didn't get these items in the first place. I defeated the Wall of Flesh but wasn't able to get the Haki scroll. Instead, I got Conqueror's Haki, which creates a damaging aura around me that also stuns enemies in the aura, including bosses. But because I didn't have much Haki, I couldn't use it for very long. I then properly checked my Gear 3 attacks. The pistol ability was now a gigantic fist that propels forward, same thing with the Gatling gun. But ability 3 now uses my feet to do an axe kick in a downwards motion, creating a shockwave on impact, and the mobility was still the same. I summoned the Wall of Flesh for the very last time, killed it, and finally got the student Haki scroll. But you know what's really funny? I needed the amateur Haki scroll now. You guys thought that was it, but nope. This was dropped from the Queen Bee. I killed the Queen Bee and got the scroll. I returned home and prayed that I could use all of my Haki scrolls now, and thank God I could. The amateur Haki scroll increased my Haki to 1,200, the student to 2,000, the adept to 3,450, and finally the overflowing Haki to 4,750. Heading back to the dungeon, I summoned the Lunatic Cultist. I started off with the Gatling gun at first, but found out that the pistol ability could reach up to 2,000 damage per hit if I landed a critical strike. So I decided to use that for the majority of the fight. The Wanted Lunatic Cultist poster gave me 400 million bounty to reach rank 9 and 400 gold coins. Then came on the Celestial Pillars. I destroyed the Stardust Pillar first, then bought the Overflowing Haki fragment. Now this was insane. Just look at how much faster the regen rate is. I destroyed the Vortex Pillar next, which maxed out my mastery for the Armament Haki. So I unlocked version 3. This was called the Rayleigh and Haki, and this increases damage by 13%, with critical hits dealing 25% more damage that inflicts the Ichor debuff. While I was killing monsters near the Nebula Pillar, I maxed out my mastery for Gear 3, which unlocked Gear 4, Bounce Man. Ability 1 is now the Kong Gun that enlarges my fist the longer I charge it. Ability 2, the Gatling Gun, now spawns 4 arms on both sides of me, totaling 8. And ability 3 is now a Python attack that can twist and turn, homing onto enemies. I destroyed the Nebula Pillar and finally the Solar Pillar. It was time to face off against the Moonlord. After defeating Moonlord, I got the wanted Moonlord poster that gave 600 million bounty to rank me up to 10 and 600 gold coins. With Luminite bars, I crafted the Yoru sword that had 254 damage that had a similar effect as the Terra Blade, but I felt like there had to be more to the sword. I reset my fighting style and then talked to Zoro to switch over to the swordsman fighting style, and I was right. This sword now produced gigantic waves that changes color depending on the type of armament haki I used, with the right click creating an even bigger wave that moved slower. Green being the regular haki, a dark purple being version 2, and the orange being version 3. I of course had to test this weapon out, so I summoned Moonlord again. From the treasure bag this time, I received the Master Haki scroll that increased my max Haki to 6,000. There was the Tamate Bako, which is an accessory that gave 12 defense, a whopping 70% double fruit damage, 20,000 max stamina, and 20% increased crit chance. Not only that, I also made the Raid Canister Black that gave 24 defense, 50,000 max Haki, and 15 Haki regen. This meant that I could maintain Gear 4 for a much longer period of time. For the very last armor set, I'll be farming Moonlord a couple more times to get enough Luminite bars to craft Logia Captain Armor. This process became a whole lot faster with the 2 new accessories I made. I was dealing over 1,000 damage per crit hit and around 15,000 damage per second. I opened the treasure bags and got the Griffin, which had 299 damage. This sword acts exactly the same as the Yoru, but has different colors for Armament Haki 1 and 2. I had enough Luminite bars now, so I crafted the Logia Captain Armor set, which brought my defense to 147. And as I did expect a crazy set bonus, all I got was increased stamina regen. I'll admit, it was very lackluster. With this armor, I had to take on Moonlord one more time, and I pummeled the crap out of this boss. Alright, that's going to be it for the One Piece mod. Shout out to the creator of this mod, you did a wonderful job. If you want to try this out for yourselves, I'll leave all the mods I've used in the description below. There were a lot of items that I didn't test out, so if you do play this mod, make sure to try them out. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below if you have any other mod or video ideas you want me to try out, and of course subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!